Let's bring in former NYPD Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik, who is standing by. Also, we have the host of Stinchfield, Grant Stinchfield. But I will start. We will start with you first, Mr. Kerik. The information that is now coming in. This is all breaking news. What do you make of the latest information regarding the specifics of the suspect himself?
Well, I think, honestly, Heather, it's a little bit too early to tell. You know, in cases like this, you're going to have two sets of facts. The story of what happened, exactly how it happened, you know, how the guy drove into the barricaded area, what the officers did, who responded, how they responded, what the guy came out of his car with. That story is going to change 10 times before we get all the real details. Because, you know, if you have 20 people that were standing outside there, they're going to give you 20 different descriptions. So it's early to speculate. But given what we know, given what we've heard reported already, this guy drove up to the barricade. Initially, they said he struck two officers, came out of the barricade with a machete, which is a long bladed knife. And he was shot and killed as a result. One of the officers died from his injuries. Another is severely injured. So that's the facts as we have them. It'll be interesting to see in the investigation. We'll, you know, work this out. Who was the guy? Where did he come from? Who are his associates? Where was he right before he got to the Capitol? They're going to scrub they're going to go through his electronics, his cell phones, computers, and look at his friends and family, anybody around him, to see if there was any assistance he had in getting to the Capitol and doing what he did. So, you know, right now, everybody's speculating, but that's pretty much what there is right now.
Now, Commissioner Kerik, you know, we've spoken to people from the FBI, CIA, all walks of law enforcement. Number one, first and foremost, trying to drive home the fact that people in law enforcement wake up every day not knowing if they're going to walk home that very evening. But from your perspective, looking at the facts that we do have available, what is your assessment of the response by Capitol Police, particularly in light of the concerns that we had stemming from what occurred on the Capitol on January 6th?
You know what? It's a really good point, because anybody that rides around Washington, D.C., if you see Secret Service outside the White House, or you see the Capitol Police, 95% of the time they're just standing around, they're standing guard, they're at excess egress points. You know, and you know, people look at that sometimes and they say that's not a hard job, that's not a difficult job. But the reality is, like you said, every single day those men and women wake up and they go to a job like this, not knowing whether they're going to make it home or not. And I'm sure that the officer that died this morning when he got to work, or she, we don't know which yet, when they got to work, they anticipated they were going to go home and they'd have dinner at home, or they'd be with their family. Law enforcement is a difficult job, no matter what you're in, whether it's the Capitol Police, Secret Service, or routine local state police, or a federal agency. It's a difficult job, and in this case, we see what happens when things go wrong. As for the response, I need more details for the response, but I can tell you this: being down there as many times as I have, going into the area, that same checkpoint, those officers are watchful of who's coming up to the gate. They ID every person, every car that's trying to get through the barricade. And in this case, that's probably what they were trying to do when the suspect hit them, struck them, and then struck the barricade.
We actually have some additional information, Commissioner. I apologize for not hearing exactly what you said there at the end, but we do know the name of the officer involved in this, the officer who has died. If they could just say that to me one more time, is Officer Evans, is the officer, I believe, who has died in this incident.
William
Officer
Evans.
William Evans. And I'm trusting that that has been confirmed. But Commissioner, you know, these officers, like Officer Evans, who lost his life today, just doing his job. The disrespect that's been growing over the years for law enforcement, along with the movements to defund the police. And, you know, we can't say that blue lives matter, things like that. Why would anyone take the chance to still be in law enforcement, to go out there and save our lives and run towards the danger, as we've mentioned today, whereas other people run away from it? It's so hard, but we need those folks.
Yeah, you know what, Heather, years ago, you know, I used to say this all the time to cops that worked for me, especially when I would speak at the academy. And what I would tell them is, if you took this job for the benefits, for the pay, for the vacation, for the health care, if that's really why you took the job, quit, leave, go get another job. And there was a lot of that years ago. Today, anybody taking a job as a cop today, in any capacity, local, state, federal, if you're taking that job today, you're taking the job because you really want to help people, because you really think you can make a difference. And you don't care about all the criticism, because you have to be a blind man not to see what's going on in this country and hear all these Marxist, leftist, radical lunatics that are basically attacking the cops. So men and women that are taking the job today, they really want to be there.
Now, Commissioner, you know, I think, you know, we've lost so much this year, but if there's any message that you have for law enforcement at this moment and for Americans who find themselves thinking of the family of Officer Williams, what would that be?
Well, first of all, listen, as somebody that I lost 23 men and women that worked for me on September 11th, I know what this day is like for that department and in other departments that go through this. My thoughts and prayers goes out to the family, the colleagues that worked with Officer Evans, his friends. And I think times like this, it unites the department and the law enforcement community, and they come out of this stronger. Even though it's a difficult day,
right.
It's a really difficult day, but they'll come out of this stronger as a result.
All right, Commissioner Kerik, thank you as always, my friend. Stand by. We'll have more coming up on American Agenda with this developing story from the Capitol. Stick with us.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.